You don't live up to your Instagram posts. Sorry.
The original Tinder. Terminator.
I should have swiped right.
Soundstripe.
Of Blockbusters, a classic movie podcast where if you're like us and you miss the days of packed movie theaters and movie stores, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Caleb Suggs. Joining me is one of my co-hosts, Dakota Lowry.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And also with us is Ernie Ferguson.
Caleb, come with me if you want to live.
And this week we are dipping away from the romantic comedies that we've done the past 2 weeks. And going into a very depressing dystopian movie in 1984's The Terminator.
Oh man, let me tell you, I'm glad practical effects and CGI have come a long way from this movie. That was it was a little rough.
Some of the effects aren't bad, and then the CGI is what I thought was as I was rewatching this, I was like, yeah, it's not aged well, the CGI.
No,
I didn't think the practical effects were too bad.
Was so the robot or the cyborg, excuse me, at the end, was that not stop motion?
Yeah, that was stop motion.
Or stop motion, not CGI.
I mean, kudos to them for the commitment, but like, I feel like there's a much better way to do that.
The ending,
not on a $4 million budget. I mean, you're not going to get that.
If you don't have that big of a budget,
$6.4 million. Okay.
Oh, sorry, $6.4 million. My bad.
How much of that was Schwarzenegger?
I'm about to say Caleb needs to teach your macroeconomics class.
He's not a huge star at this point. I mean,
he did Conan, and he was recording Conan 2 before Terminator.
I mean, this is what made him. I mean,
I'm sure, but like. So he just did like bodybuilding competitions before this, or
there's I can't remember what the movie is, but there's a movie about it where I mean you can see his true personality, and he is getting after Lou Ferrigno. If you don't know who Lou Ferrigno is, he's the guy that played the Incredible Hulk on the TV show. Not Bruce Banner, but the Incredible Hulk. So he was a bodybuilder too, and you can just see these mind games that Schwarzenegger's just playing with Ferrigno throughout the whole entire movie. I think it's called maybe Pumping Iron, and maybe the movie is what it's called. But yeah, he's Mr. Olympia, and he truly showed his personality. Here, you can see where he goes from just being. I mean, he doesn't have very many lines, but you see this to when he comes with like The Running Man or what's the one in space where the only thing we had Sharon Stone in. I can't remember what it's called, but we'll get to that later. But I mean, you go from this to T2, and there's so much more personality that Schwarzenegger shows, and the growth. He's not just big and muscle bound, but he also changed. How the action hero looked like, because you look at him here. Well, the biggest comparison I can think of is Sylvester Stallone. Look at Sylvester Stallone in First Blood, and then look at Sylvester Stallone in Rambo 2. Look at his physique. Sylvester Stallone was looking at Schwarzenegger going, dude, I got to catch up with this muscle-bound guy in a heartbeat. And he's like 0% body fat and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know much about I don't know much about Schwarzenegger, and that's what I was telling Kamei when we watched it. Was like I've only seen him in older newer stuff like recently in his older years, I guess. And so like just seeing a young Schwarzenegger was different for me.
And this was a very young Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. The other thing that really stood out to me was it's always interesting going back in these movies in like the 70s and 80s, and they're like, this is the projected year of 2029, and this is what it's going to look like. And it's we're like, wow, man, we're 4 years away from that.
4 years away from the robots taking over the machines, taking over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, and first off, Ernie, the movie you're looking for was Total Recall.
Thank you, Total Recall.
But I mean, this is, and obviously Ernie can speak more onto it because he was around when this movie came out. But I mean, this was a major movie, and I've had my parents tell me just because of the fact that this was kind of a real fear. I mean, that people had because technology at these days it was growing fast, but
Mhm.
People were afraid of this kind of when this came out. It scared people because they thought that this could be something that you could see in the future. And it's funny now we're probably closer to it now than we've ever been.
Yeah,
But
They're not. They didn't miss the mark by very far.
yeah,
I would probably say people are less scared of this movie now than they were in 1984, though.
yeah. I mean, because you're
Oh,
talking about
yeah.
you're talking about the '80s, though. People are starting to get home computers now, and there's just more machine type stuff that is going on. And again, that fear of the unknown, that it makes it really kind of, the idea that what these machines can be robots that can look like people, that's I guess is the scary part of it. But yeah, I mean, it's especially if they all look like Schwarzenegger. Now if a robot looked like me, they probably wouldn't be too scared. Look at that fat bald guy. He's coming. I think I can outrun him. Well, I mean, we could all probably outrun the Terminator too, because he's like Michael Myers, didn't run at all.
It gave Michael Myers my vibes to the whole thing.
Oh, 100%. You can see. I mean, Cameron worked, I think, on Halloween. I can't remember what his job was, but he worked on No, it was Escape from L.A., which is again a John Carpenter movie. So you can see the Terminator has Halloween written all over it. I mean, you thought Michael Myers was indestructible? No. You wait through when you see the Terminator. I mean, he takes 4 shotgun blasts. I mean, the first time he really gets shot, by Reese and was it the Techno Noir or whatever, and he sits up. You're going, oh man. Then he gets shot again and out the window again, gets up. But the biggest thing of them all, because again you have this trope, is whenever he was in the tanker truck and it catches on fire, and you have the robot reveal. You're like, all right, this dude is finally dead. We're, of course, being whether it's a horror movie or not a horror movie, he's not dead. And then you see the robot reveal before you get all the weird walking stuff. And you see the metal head and the red eyes, and you're going, holy crap, what is this? That's what I think that's a real big push for this, which again, same thing with all the things with Michael Myers, how many times did he get killed? How many times do you think he was dead? And he pops and he gets right back up.
And I think they did a good job building to that too throughout the movie.
Yes.
Even just with the was it the eye first, or was it the eye, whichever one, with the eye or the arm, whichever one it was first, but showing the him working on his arm and everything, and then later on with the whole scene with the pulling the eye out and all that stuff, like just kind of like building up to that big reveal and then having it there at the end was I think they did a good job with it.
I after I had time this time to watch it 2 times before, and at first when I watched it, I was like, man, the makeup that they have on Arnold Schwarzenegger just is awful. But then I started thinking, no, that is the deterioration of the skin tissue of the Terminator. And so, yes, you can get away with having bad makeup and bad props like that because you're telling the story of the outer layer is deteriorating. Because the first thing I thought of, the first thing that made me think of that was the eyebrows. Whatever he catches on fire and he gets in the cop car, I'm like, dude, his eyebrow. I mean, Schwarzenegger looks weird without eyebrows, and so I was just thought that's a choice. But the second time around, I was like, oh, okay, the eyebrows, the hand, the eye. When the landlord or whatever says so it smells like something dies, and they show, I mean, it's stupid looking, but it has Schwarzenegger with all that makeup on. But then you see flies on him. Well, that makes sense because the skin is rotting. So that the second time I watched it there, I was like, oh, okay, that is a choice, and now I understand the choice.
Yeah, there was a couple things like that like little details like that they kind of paid attention to. The other one was the dog.
Yes.
You know, in the flashback scene with Reese, where you know he's sitting there, and then all of a sudden you have the Terminator that comes in and starts shooting everything up. You know, you have the dogs there, but then in the immediately next scene in the present day, when they walk into the hotel, there's the same German Shepherd that was used in both scenes, but he literally walks up to that same like little. You know, you could tell, like, kind of instinctually or habitually, he just walks up to it and puts his hand out to it. But it was just, I thought it was a good little callback of the same way they did it in both
Which
scenes.
they also did with the very first Sarah Connor, the little yip dog. He's walking up to kill the very first Sarah Connor. And I, again, didn't notice it the first time, but there's that little yip dog just barking like that. I was like, man, shoot that little yip dog. I mean, the German Shepherd, all right, leave it alone. But that little thing just punted across the street.
Yeah.
Here's my time travel. You mentioned flashback. Here's my time travel question. Is it a flashback if you're thinking back to something that actually is going to happen in the future while you're back in the past?
Okay. To go along with this, I thought me and Kamei were talking about this was you have Kyle, who in the future came back to the past to teach Sarah how to make pipe bombs so she could teach John so he could teach Kyle. So he could teach Sarah. It's like just a whole like loop circle that you got to go through here.
So does
he also Reese makes John?
Does Reese
sure
know that
does.
He's John's? But Reese doesn't know that he's John's father, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Okay, I'm like
not in this one. He doesn't.
I don't know. That's that whole entire. I fell in love with your picture. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, and even I kind of like the fact that she called it at the end, where she's like, in the few hours that you and your dad spent together, me and your dad spent together, we lived love for a lifetime. Like, okay, guy.
Hey, being chased by a robotic murderer will bring you together. Huh?
But it doesn't make me want to sleep with somebody.
Relationships that start in dire stress, or whatever, are bound to fail. That's on another movie. Yeah. I can't remember what that was in, but
hey, their relationship didn't fail. It didn't end well, but it didn't.
What was one of the scare? Oh Lord, I forgot the name. Scream rules. Whoever sleeps with the whoever has sex first, don't have sex or you die. Like,
well, he knew he was going to die because I came in here naked with no clothes. I can't bring anything. How are you getting back? I'm not. I know I'm going to die.
Well, The Terminator is a 1984 American science fiction action film directed by James Cameron, written by Cameron and Gail Ann Hurd, and produced by Hurd. It stars Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator, a cybernetic assassin sent back in time from 2029 to 1984 to kill Sarah Connor, whose unborn son will one day save mankind from extinction by Skynet, a hostile artificial intelligence, and a post-apocalyptic future. Kyle Reese is a soldier sent back in time to protect Sarah. The screenplay is credited to Cameron and Hurd, while co-writer William Wisher Jr. received an additional dialogue credit. This movie also starred Michael Biehn. And Lyndall Hamilton. It grossed $78.3 million on a budget of just $6.4 million. And not to steal Ernie's thunder here, but it has a whopping 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Dang.
I know. That's, and this is one of those movies here talking like a Beverly Hills Cop that did the HBO run, where that's where people started watching it. It went through the VCR run, it went through the Laserdisc run, went through the DVD run, and now it's digital run. So it's had chances to get everybody over and over again. And also, you get these crazy people that have, I got to have the new extended version that has 13 extra seconds, of some dog barking. But that's where, again, HBO really came in big for movies like this, to where people really kind of started to watch them over and over and over again. But one of the interesting,
and you also have this movie launching Schwarzenegger's career. It launches Cameron's career. James Cameron, I mean, he goes on to he does Aliens, he does T2, 8 years later, Titanic, Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
He's made a lot of money over the years, and it all starts pretty much with this one.
And that's the thing. During this, they wanted Schwarzenegger for the original. There, one rumor is Schwarzenegger for Reese, and get this, O.J. Simpson
Oh man!
as
Oh
the
wow!
Terminator. But
Yes.
so that's interesting. But again, they didn't think that Schwarzenegger could blend in because of how big he is. But they had to wait 10 months on Schwarzenegger because he was filming Conan 2, and they wouldn't, and that studio wouldn't release him to do this. So while Cameron is waiting on this, Cameron writes Aliens, and he writes Rambo First Blood Part 2 or Rambo 2. So Cameron he's getting geeked up on the lead pencil, and typewriter, and getting after it and getting ready for it. So and what's crazy for me is how he writes this one, the Terminator, it in the same type of genre but different is T2, because they are in the same sci-fi category, but one is all about doom and gloom and lack of hope, whereas T2 is is just the opposite. It's about hope, and so it's crazy to see the growth that Cameron gets. And Cameron doesn't shy away from strong female characters either, because again, he doubles down on Ripley in Aliens. You have Sarah Connor here. I I would say in Avatar, I can't remember what Zoe, whatever her name is, or whoever that one
Oh,
actress
she
is.
is killing it. Yeah.
So you have that, and this may be a real big stretch, but if you look at Rose in Titanic, what she started is almost like Sarah Connor, in being just a wilting flower in the beginning of the movie, and at the end really finds herself and becomes a strong female. So James Cameron, as part of the patriarchy, does as good of a job as a man can do at least making women not just side effects, but also like a powerful entities in his movies.
My favorite Rose part of Titanic is her throwing a multi-hundred
Golly.
million dollar thing in the ocean that she could have passed down to her kids or
Do you
grandkids.
hate your family? She hates her family. That's
Oh, yeah.
because they're not Jack's family. That's why she throws it out there. I'm like, man, you hate your family.
Not gonna get into that though, but quick, I bet you they are really glad though that they did not go with O.J. Simpson. I feel like that's
Yeah.
What,
Hindsight.
O.J. Simpson chasing down a woman in L.A. trying to kill her? You don't think that would go over well?
Can you
Surely
imagine if
not.
they just randomly O.J. Simpson's in the movie, and they just hey, let's have him drive a Bronco.
I mean, there would be no T2 to this.
No, I don't think you would.
So
Okay.
yeah, that's it's this movie, it does, and the thing about it is having Schwarzenegger play the machine. That's perfect for him. Because he doesn't have to. I mean, it's more facial expressions. It's less words.
There is no facial.
Well, I was about to say, was there any
no
facial expressions
whatsoever? That's why it's the perfect Schwarzenegger movie. He
At that
literally
time,
has
yeah.
to play an emotionless robot.
You need to watch Kindergarten Cop. Said that he has it deep in him. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that's
at
why
this point in his career, 1984. I mean, he does, we see it in T2 8 years later. He still plays a robot, but it's a different kind of, where they're trying to teach him. He's kind of got like some emotion. It's like funny emotion. But yeah, I mean, Schwarzenegger's, I'm not saying he's a bad actor. He definitely gets better. I mean, he's not a fantastic actor, but he definitely
he does well what he does.
Yes, but at this point in his career,
he's not winning any Academy Awards.
This is the perfect role for him.
And especially at the I'm still on steroids phase of of his life. Again, bodybuilder. He doesn't deny that he used it in the 70s. I mean, because you can see the difference between his body, in this one and in T2. This one, he's got that bloated look that people that are on roids look like. But again, just perfect machine. Just his Austrian accent that helps perpetuate that also. And there was a big fight between him and Cameron about "I'll be back," because he was having a hard time pronouncing "I'll." He wanted to say "I will be back," and and Cameron said absolutely not. So that's where, again, it did finally go. Cameron won that one, and made it. I'll be back. So I'd like to see that fight between those two.
I like that we keep mentioning T2, and Dakota has absolutely no idea anything that we're
No
talking
clue
about
whatsoever.
T2.
It's not very good.
No clue at all. I think we started. Is that the one that starts out in the nuclear war or whatever?
No.
With Kyle talking?
No. Ernie, I can't believe you tried to say that with a straight face.
Well, I mean, it's hard to argue with a movie that has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. All right, so a cyborg is sent back in time from 2029 to 1984 Los Angeles. An assassin dubbed the Terminator, disguised as a human male and programmed to hunt and assassinate a woman named Sarah Connor. Separately, a human soldier named Kyle Reese who arrives intent on stopping the Fiend as they both steal ammunition and clothing. After searching for addresses in a telephone directory, the Terminator systematically dispatches similarly named women before locating the actual Sarah at a local nightclub. She is rescued by Reese. The duo then steal a car and escape, with the Terminator pursuing them in a stolen police car. So that paragraph takes a good chunk of first.
That's not the first 25 minutes of the movie.
It leaves a lot out.
But yeah, so we open up with it kind of goes into the dystopian future of kind of see a glimpse of what's happening in this future, and then you get the kind of the, I don't want to say Star Wars wording, but the words there that kind of tell you what's happening, and then it goes to the it's the actual battle will take place tonight or this year or whatever, and then we get that theme song. That theme song is just great. I love that theme song so much.
The background, the whole techno music, which I love anyways, worked so well for, again, a sci-fi movie using all those synthesizers and stuff like that. That is something that even, I mean, whether you like the music or not, the music in techno noir also, again, techno music, dance music at that point in time, heavy on synthesizers, again, works with the movie too. I think it helps a lot. And so does this dark perception of Los Angeles too.
And for this to be a very dark science fiction movie that takes place in LA, this movie is very 80s. There's a lot of 80s going for the music, the techno music, the hairstyles that Linda Hamilton and some of the other girls are
wait! Before you even get there, I mean, let's go when we have the Terminator show up. Let's not forget about our boy Bill Paxton's blue mohawk that he has. I mean, who else has been killed by a Terminator, a Predator, and an alien but Bill Paxton? So yay for him.
Survived the Twister.
That is true. But I mean, that opening scene though, where they show, I mean, Schwarzenegger walking, and he's dangling in the wind too, which I didn't need to see.
Kidding. Kidding.
But he punches the one guy in the gut and just pulls it out, and you're going, "Oh man, this is something completely different." And it's amazing how big those clothes got from that character whenever he put those clothes on too. I was like, I mean, at least get another dude that is at least close to his size. But yeah, I like Bill Paxton. I mean, Bill Paxton doing, just weird acting type of stuff, which reminds me a lot of his character in Weird Science, which eventually we will do one day also. But that was a good intro right there.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I mean, but he got stabbed, and you're like, oh wait, that stabbing didn't do anything to him.
Yeah, and then we get Reese, who obviously is, and they do a very good job of showing this is different, whereas or Schwarzenegger is the robotic guy. This is more of a human. But there's a lot of this as I'm watching this and over again. A lot of stuff in this scene. First of all, why are they chasing him? I guess maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. Maybe they're looking for the guy that murdered the punk guy that Schwarzenegger killed. I don't know, but I didn't understand why they're chasing him. And then he very casually breaks into this store. It looks like it's some kind of broken down warehouse that he goes into, and then he's all of a sudden in this store with all this stuff in it. And then the cops are just terrible. First of all, they can't find this dude that's just running around in the store, and then they just leave their cop car outside with the lights running and the door's unlocked, and he just goes in and pulls out their shotgun.
Yeah, the cops in this movie are not very good. I mean, especially though drinking a cup of coffee that's 2 hours cold. Oh yeah, that also has a cigarette in it.
Yep. Yeah,
Like-
the cops in this movie give a very clones. What are the droids? What are those things called?
The androids,
Star Wars.
The stormtroopers.
Oh,
Stormtroopers. Good
Stormtroopers.
lord.
Yeah.
I'm tired. But yeah, it's given they shoot about that well too. Which I guess even if they could hit him, it wouldn't really matter. But
No.
Yeah, you know, yeah. I mean, but we get like how awful
Isn't
of a
this-
waitress that Sarah Connor is also. You know,
Oh,
She
yeah.
has-
yeah, and
but
then
she
we
has a
get
cool
her-
moped.
Well, the kid put the what was it, ice cream
cream
and
in-
mashed potatoes in her pocket. I'm
I
like,
don't know. And then we get her waitress friend who's like, "You're gonna love this," and it's a newsreel about someone dying,
Named
getting
Sarah
murdered.
Connor that got shot.
yeah.
Like, you're gonna love this, and she's
Mhm.
not laughing. She's not smiling. Like, this is gonna be funny. And then,
Ha ha ha! Another Sarah Connor died. That's funny, isn't it? You know,
I
which
think-
again, that's a good scene though too. Where again, well, we bypassed the gun scene in the pawn shop or the gun
Oh,
store
yeah.
or whatever, where he just starts rattling off all sorts of different, including this plasma gun that the guy's never
I need a
heard
phase
of.
plasma rifle for 40 watt. Dude's like, what you see is what you get.
I think that was about 75% of Schwarzenegger's spoken lines was just in that shop right
I
there.
think it was a higher percentage than that.
But then, I mean, but when he kicks in the door and he puts the laser sight on the first Sarah Connor, and then just I think proceeds to put like 8 bullets in her, you're going, oh, okay, this dude's coming. You know, I like that.
I have an issue with that. If he is
What,
a
pumping him full of lead.
yeah, if it's a cyborg like assassin, I feel like he'd be like, okay, one shot, she's dead, cool, and I'm gonna turn around and leave. You know, like I'm not gonna pump him full of 15 shots out of a 44 Magnum. You know, like
Well,
I don't know.
They're there. I mean,
He can't go home, so he might as
yeah.
well.
I mean, and what
Yeah,
he doesn't care if he dies either. I mean, he doesn't have any feelings.
And now
So he just-
no remorse, no pity.
No.
No, I think
Once his mission's over, he's got nothing to do, so might as well do his mission.
yeah. I think the other big issue that I had with it was the press. Like, I'm be honest with you. Like, so the press kind of like picked this up and pushed it pretty hard. Like they were like, the cameras
What,
and all.
the press
of them.
does that? No.
Well, I mean, like it just like it was so quickly, if that makes sense. Like, be honest with me, and just
How did
think
they know
about
that
this.
2 Sarah Connors got killed? I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
like
that's-
this is the '80s. This isn't.
Yeah, but I
you
think
know, you don't
gotta
have
think of
social
this
media.
in movie time.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you put it in movies, yeah.
It's probably not as quick in like real time in the movie. It's probably not as quick as you think. But I
Well,
would
it's-
imagine they're 2 Sarah.
But then again,
Connors.
like how big is LA though? I mean, even in this time, LA still has to have a few million people in here,
Yeah.
and
second
2
largest
women
city in the
who
United
happen
States.
to be named the same people get killed in the same day. And
yeah, I would think that's a pretty big story, even for a place like LA.
I
And for
don't think so.
They're shot. It's not like they died of natural causes. They got shot. 2 people. By the
I mean,
same
no.
name.
I understand that, but
You
I
look
mean,
in the
2
phone
people?
book. There's only 3. So if 2 of them get shot, I would think, yeah, hey, well, maybe we should find. It's a big deal. We should find the 3rd one. Yeah, I don't. I mean,
Yeah,
I feel
but-
like I don't care what city you're in. If there's 2 people by the same name that get shot in the same day, that seems to be more than just a coincidence.
I don't know. I don't say average. I guess they probably had a tip or something. I don't know. It just kind of
So-
bothered me how quick it was.
Well, then you also have then you go back to her roommate Ginger. All right, homegirl really loved that Walkman, that tape player
loved
with. I'm sorry, when there's coitus going on and you're jamming out to the headphones. I'm like, that's okay, But then she's afterwards. That girl is making her a sandwich.
That was a monster of a
that
sandwich.
is a sandwich, and all capital sandwiches too, because that sucker was stacked. She had the celery and the peanut butter. She had the big jug of milk. I mean, she worked up an appetite. I was like, holy cow. I mean, I'm fat and I don't even make a sandwich that big. That girl must be working on just trying to boost up her body fat or something like that, because that sandwich was huge.
She was making it to share.
Nah, homeboy was out. Homeboy wasn't thinking of nothing. He put up. I'll tell you what. He put up the best fight. I mean, he's in his underoos right there, and he's put up the best fight against the Terminator. He got tossed around like a rag doll.
Not just his very small, tight underoos. He's also wearing almost
red
knee-high red socks.
I didn't pay that much attention. I was just like, this guy keeps getting thrown against the wall.
We get to the nightclub, and at this point, it's kind of like a cat and mouse game. You have Reese who's kind of stalking around, and then you have Schwarzenegger's obviously looking for Sarah, and then crap finally hits the fan when he finally sees Sarah, and then Reese realizes that's him, and then you have the firefight. Some pretty good action here between the nightclub and then the car chase, and then you also get. I like that it's not like a long drawn. It's not like they put all this information. It's like sporadic throughout the movie, like him telling her the story, the background of what's going on, who he is, and God, imagine you're this person and someone's just tried to kill you, and another guy who you thought was the guy that was trying to kill you saves you, and now he's telling you he's from 30-40 years into the future.
Are you sure that he's still not trying to kill you too? That's another question.
I mean, you don't really know, and you just see the guy that tried to kill you get shot 10 times by a shotgun, and he's still chasing you, punching his fist through the windshield. She held it together. She held it together pretty good.
Which, I mean, before the club scene, you're not 100% sure that both guys aren't trying to kill her, because you don't know. You don't know what Reese is doing. And they play that. I mean, even when he's talking to her, like the psychologist who was great, Dr. Silverman, he did a fantastic job. This guy's could be delusional, so you don't really know. Now they also have that. I think was helpful was whenever he kind of had that PTSD flashback or whatever when he first sat in that car. I like how they did some of the flash forwards.
Is that what we're calling it? I never got an answer.
Oh yeah, we never did get an answer.
I like when they go back into his head and they use, instead of exposition, instead of him just talking everything out, which he still does, they use some of those pictures in his head to show what was happening back in his day, future his day.
Also, first off, when I had the question about what would you call it, flashback, flash forward, that's where that was the point in the movie should you hotwire a car and then take a nap right in the place where the car was still sitting?
Yeah, I think maybe some of those workers might be kind of mad about that.
Yeah, I don't think it was a very good decision.
He hotwired the car and he's like, all right, I'm going to sit right here and take a nap. Well, as they hide in a parking lot, Reese explains to Sarah that an artificially intelligence defense network known as Skynet, created by Cyberdyne Systems, will soon become self-aware and trigger a global nuclear war to bring humankind to its extinction.
So this is Ultron. Let's just clear this up. This is Avengers: Age of Ultron.
No, this is Tony Stark. That would be Stark Industries creating Ultron. That's what, and then Ultron taking over Tony Stark's Stark Industry, because Skynet is they built all these things, and then the computers, like you would say, Ultron ended up taking it over.
It's a little so like Ultron. He spends time in the World Wide Web and decides that humankind doesn't deserve the right to live.
Yeah, but isn't that the same thing that kind of happened here?
No, they
just said screw the AI.
They're a military thing that's supposed to identify threats to I guess the United States or whoever, but they identify everybody as a threat.
Isn't that what Ultron did?
No,
He just
Ultron.
said, everybody's a threat.
No,
The
No, not
human
everybody
race
threat. No, that
deserved
we
it.
weren't worthy to
Ultron,
live.
yeah,
Not that
thought
we were a threat.
that people didn't deserve to live because they were inherently not good.
But was it a quoted from the movie that he said that humankind's greatest threat to themselves is themselves?
Well, maybe so,
So,
but
I don't
But
remember.
it's more Ultron's plan is more of like he mentions Noah in the arc.
Yeah.
In the movie, how you have the flood and then people can rebuild or whatever. So it's a little bit different. So Sarah's future son John will rally the survivors and lead to a successful resistance movement against Skynet and its mechanical forces. On the verge of the resistance victory, Skynet sends the Terminator back in time to eliminate Sarah, thereby preventing John's birth. The Terminator is an efficient and relentless killing machine with a perfect voice mimicking ability and durable metal endoskeleton covered by living tissue to imbue him. Okay, so I'm gonna get on my thing here, and I talked about this when we did Back to the Future. Dakota wasn't on that episode, unfortunately, but he knows how I feel about time travel movies, and I have a very I don't want to say love hate relationship with them, but I feel like they're very hit or miss. I have some that I really like, and I have some that I do not like, and I think when you get into time travel movies, you've got to have a rock solid story because there are going to be things that don't make sense because it's time travel, and it doesn't matter how much detail sometimes you put into it, it's not going to make sense because it's time travel. But as long as you have a great story, it can work. And this has a great story, and the time travel stuff doesn't seem far fetched. And so it continues to really work. So everything he describes, it doesn't make you, for a science fiction movie, it doesn't seem far fetched or stupid, if that makes sense.
Well, it doesn't let them bounce back and forth, which is a big help.
Yes.
Like Reese said, I mean, once he leaves, he can't go back. He can't bring futuristic things back with him. You can't bring the almanac, back with you and do gambling to gamble with that stuff. So, but that the time they don't use it as a crutch. Like Back to the Future, that is what Back to the Future is about. Jumping from back and back. The time jump here is just to send them back to go after Sarah Connor. Again, there is no once if Reese saves her, he goes back to the future or anything like that. It's just you go back, boom, here you go. That does help a lot. I think with that time, they don't sit there and spend a whole bunch of time talking about it and trying to figure out. They let that interrogation with Dr. Silverman on Reese basically tell you how the time travel works, and that's it. They don't spend any more time. Which again, if you start spending more time, that means your audience is going to think about it more. And this is again goes back to what type of movie is this? This is where I think if this was just truly a sci-fi action movie, I think you would have more time spent on it trying to explain the time jumps. Where this is a sci-fi horror movie, and all this is just to help build up the tension between Reese is trying to help save Sarah Connor, the Terminator is trying to kill Sarah Connor. They're keeping Reese from trying to help her, and that's building up as he's coming after her.
And you want to go, talk about being a scary movie and the fact that the technology and the fear of the unknown is terrifying at this time. We're also 1984. We're still in the Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
So to hear somebody talk about in the future, there's a global nuclear war.
Yeah.
That's a very real fear that's still, I know 1984. We're getting towards the end of it. And maybe things had simmered down a little bit at that time. I don't really know, Ernie. You could tell me, but I would imagine it's still a pretty evident fear in people's minds at that time.
Yeah, because you have the '80 Olympics. I believe that's when the United States boycotted the Moscow Olympics. I think that's when it was. Then eventually you have the '84 Olympics when the Soviets boycotted coming there. So no, it's not until I think '89 that the Berlin Wall comes down. So it's still in the height of it right now. There's still the tensions between the two groups.
Is this before? This is right around the time when Red Dawn comes out, isn't it? 85?
I think Red Dawn was 85. So yeah, I
86
mean
maybe?
it's
Might have been 86.
It was 84.
Oh, was it 84?
Oh,
Okay,
so there you
this is
go.
the same exact year.
Yeah.
Which is also a terrifying movie.
Yeah, it has a great
August
mascot though.
84.
It has a
So
great what?
It has a great mascot. That's what my high school mascot was named after, Wolverines.
All I can think about is that episode of Psych when he's at the gun range and he's just shooting. He's like Wolverines.
So going back a little bit to techno noir, a couple of things. One, the Lieutenant Traxxer talks about how he's been to the techno noir. He's been there. I'm like, so this old guy's been there before. But you had people getting
hold on. Before would he know about it? I mean, as a police officer though, like
he knew what street it was on. He knew where it was. It sounded like he was breaking it down. That's what it sounded like to me.
That's what it sounded like.
That's what I was talking about. It's like
that's what it sounds like. But see, to me, that wasn't very far fetched for a police officer because I mean, like they have to memorize street names. Now, I mean, my dad was a police officer for years, and like that was one of the things I had to do in the city of Decatur was he had to memorize street names because if you get a call out for, hey, I need backup at this address on this street, like you need to know where that's at. You don't need to be pulling out your phone and putting it on Google Maps, So like the fact that a police lieutenant has a memorization of the street names and knows where a pretty prominent club is on that street. I don't know. To me, it wasn't that far fetched.
I mean, was it a prominent club? I mean, it looked like again for somebody that might have gone to clubs when he was a senior in high school, and freshman in college in the Houston area, not quite L.A., but there were clubs on almost every corner around. And again, you're talking about a population of over 3 million in LA, and homeboy just knows where this is right off the top. No, I'm telling you, the man was there and he was dancing. He was getting after it. That old dude was getting after it. Yeah, you selling him short. That's what it is, Dakota. You don't believe in him. That's the problem.
You know what? I have sold him short.
But one of the big things one was all the people that got mowed down. You don't see that in movies today, where just bystanders are just getting mowed down. I mean, they're getting mowed down here in the when the police scene when we get to that. But the one thing I wish they would have shown earlier, not because it was good, but it helped with the robotic part of it, was whenever his vision was red and he was looking at and they showed the vision from the Terminator, where it was just like all these numbers are flashing up, things are moving back and forth, and it's just red looking. I was like, man, that helps you sell the fact that he is, a robot. But I guess they were waiting to show you who the true bad guy was between him and Reese before they showed that. I would have liked to seen that more, though.
Well, the Terminator tracks Reese and Sarah down, but the duo lose it after a brief car chase. The police.
The Terminator's coming to somebody. I heard the dog barking.
Yeah, I have no idea what was going on in there. That was the puppy. I don't really.
Kamei's a Terminator.
The police apprehend Reese and Sarah and interrogate Reese, but they disbelieve his story. The Terminator discovers Sarah is inside the police station and attacks it, killing many officers while hunting for her. Reese and Sarah escape, steal another car, and take refuge in a motel where they assemble several pipe bombs and plan their next move. Reese admits that he has adored Sarah since he saw her in John's photograph and that he traveled through time out of love for her. Reciprocating his feelings, Sarah kisses him and they have sex, conceiving John. So,
dude, this skips through a lot. I did really like the whole police scene though. Yeah, when she's at the precinct with him, because I think she did a good job of showing the confusion. This guy really is just a drug addict who's crazy, or in the terms of the psychiatrist, in technical terms, he's a loon, but I think she did a really good job of realizing that he believed it, but he's just tripping. And I've been riding around in the car for the last 2 hours with a guy who is on drugs. I'm seeing everything, and and then the police, the lieutenant's description of, hey, here's a bulletproof vest, and it'll be able to stop a 12 gauge, and doing all this, and like seeing that confusion in her face. I think she did. I think the actress Hamilton or whatever her name was, that she did a really good job portraying that in this scene.
So before we get into the actual police station scene, I do want to talk about how much of a dorky dad that I've become, because Callie says she does not remember me saying this, but I've said it to her multiple times. Where she'll tell me she'll be going to the store or whatever, and she'll be like, "I'll be back," and I'll be like, "Don't go plowing through police stations." This is my dorky dad joke, and I told her tonight as I procrastinated this week and watched it like right before we came on, and as this came on, I was like, this is what I mean when I'm always telling you that. She's like, I've never heard you say that. I'm like, it's always the man that doesn't listen to the women, right?
Well,
Yeah.
we say such important things all the time,
Hey, that's important. It's a very good dad joke, right? No?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. Is this? Do we also get the point where they read John Connor's note? They could have had a better note. Is that later on?
No, okay, so that's after the police station. It's not a note, it's a message that he memorized.
Oh yeah, that was under the bridge.
Right.
That was in between the police precinct and the hotel.
That's right. I was like, come on, man, there's got to be something better.
I will say,
your mom.
At least they gave, at least Reese and Connor had chemistry on screen. Like at least the actors worked well together, in my opinion.
Well, here's what I would say to you, though, Ernie. And we get this a little bit in T2 when we learn how Sarah's kind of been bringing John up. John Connor at this point is a hardened military leader in a dystopian future where his race has been pushed to the brink of extinction. He doesn't know what a normal life is, so I would imagine he's probably not the most touchy-feely person. So
that's true. It's just it's one of those things where I'm like,
he's a true poet of words.
Yeah, and especially when we see Sarah Connor in T2 and learn how she's got the character she's turned into and how she's been raising him. Yeah, I could see it makes sense. But
so the police scene though, that you get the iconic line of "I'll be back."
Mm-hmm.
You also get Silverman comes back. Dr. Silverman comes back, I think, in T2. But I mean, just the cluelessness of him, just as he's describing Reese, he's yawning while he's doing it, and then he doesn't even see the Terminator walk by him as he walks out, and but then just the the way he just takes everything out in the police station this was a good scene, very much a first blood type scene.
Yeah.
But instead of escaping, going into it.
The action is very, and you talk about this being like Halloween. It's very horror action, where
Yes.
It's not really, back and forth action. It's more of one guy tearing a bunch of crap up, type action. But it's fun. It works, and it's pretty terrifying to see him just mow through a complete police station like it's nothing.
Yeah, the one time he pumps the shotgun and the police officer just goes flying. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Not violence on police officers. That's not cool.
So then after that we get the whole thing where they go to that little I don't know if you call
bridge.
it under the bridge and stuff. And,
bridge,
they start talking to each other and stuff like that, and then we get to the thing where they're making the pipe bombs, because that's a great way to grow love for each other. But I say all that too.
Kamei made a comment that watching this that he was all about her, like, be careful putting that cap on, be careful, and then like he goes to start put him in the bag, and he just starts shoving him down into the bag the entire time, like not being careful with him at all.
But this is also like her first training. You know, because again,
Yeah.
who she raised up. This is her first training, and then you see that in the last chase scene where she's yelling at him, "Get up, soldier," and stuff like that. Where you can see here is that meek character is starting to transform into the mother that raises John Connor. Again, that is that transformation that starts at the beginning of the movie that happens all the way to the end of the movie.
And this is, which I guess maybe it doesn't necessarily click at this point. Maybe not. Maybe it doesn't really click until the end of the movie. But I mean, this is where you kind of get the twist of Reese is John's father.
Yeah. Was it? I mean, I get this is with the whole moment where it happens, but I feel like I called that, and then you get us. I feel like I called this like 20 minutes ago. Movie wise, like when when they were headed to the bridge, I was like, this has got to be John Connor's dad.
When did they show us that he had the picture of her? Was it before? Was it whenever he
it was a flashback, flash forward, whatever you want to call it, to
the dog. It was the dog scene
when they were in the underground where all the people were in his future, and then the Terminator starts shooting.
In the quote unquote present day, 1984. What part of the movie was that? When he had the PTSD thing? Or was
no. This was she. Let's see. She fell asleep under the bridge.
They fell asleep under the bridge, and
so that's where
she said, She said, "Tell me more about your life or where you're from."
He never has the picture in present day.
No, but that shows
burned up. Yeah,
but that's where they show the picture getting burned up, though, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I guess, like, kind of like what you were talking about, Dakota. That to me was the first time where you're like, oh, that's they're gonna let us know what the dad is, and that's.
But see, even before the picture, just the chemistry that they had the entire movie before that, I was like, it's a little obvious.
Oh, that's like Stockholm syndrome obvious, maybe. I mean,
I've never seen it. I had no idea what this movie was about prior to renting it on Amazon Prime.
We give it to you.
I'm
not joking.
I thought it was
love
obvious.
Me. I'm kidnapping you. You think I'm crazy? I'm kidnapping you.
Yes.
Me.
The most sense this woman made was when she was in the car the first time, and she's like, "Get off of me!" Like, this dude just kidnapped you. That's an appropriate response. Kudos to you.
Technically, he told her, "Come with him if you want to live." Okay, so obviously
that's not a threat at all. Yeah, people.
How is that a threat? Come with me if you want to live.
Yeah, let me put a gun to your head.
No,
let me put a gun to your head.
She was just shot at.
If you want to live,
some psycho just shot at her.
How do you know? How did she know he wasn't trying to shoot at her?
Had he just walked,
because he just shot at the Terminator.
Exactly. Had he just walked up to her and been randomly
three parties,
come with me if you want to live. Obviously, she's not going with him, but considering how a dude just tried to shoot her and this guy shot that dude, I mean, yeah, okay.
I mean, unless Reese and the Terminator are in cahoots.
I'm not gonna lie. I probably would have went with the dude too if he.
We gotta watch out for cahoots.
This guy's got a gun, and he's telling you to come with him if you want to live. Like, turn around.
Yeah, but you just saw him put 4 slugs from a shotgun into the guy who had a gun with a laser pointer.
Doesn't mean he's on your side.
Which, by the way, somebody has a gun with a laser pointer at my forehead. I don't think my chunky butt's just going to sit there and stare at him. I'd be run, fat boy, run. I don't want like a canoe-sized hole in my forehead.
But has she seen him?
Yeah, she was staring right at him. It's hard.
No, but I'm talking about prior to the Technor. Prior to the Technor, like, had she seen him and knew what he looked like?
No. Okay, so let's double back here.
Why do you need to know who somebody looks like if he has a gun?
Hold on. I'm
talking about walking up to him, like.
But okay, let's double back here. Why is she in Techno Noir?
Running from Reese. Reese was who she was running from.
Yeah, she's running from somebody that's trying to kill her. So you have this big dude who ain't dancing at all, who's sitting there staring right at her.
And she's waiting on the police to get there.
And she just, because Arnold looks like a police officer in his outfit.
How does she know?
He's
Could be
wearing
undercover.
ratted out clothes. That's what I don't know what LAPD
That's my
looked like in
disgusted look right there.
1984.
I'm giving you Caleb's disgusted look right now.
No.
You are trying to find
Sure,
poke
Jan.
holes.
I am
into
not
this.
trying to find poke holes. I'm telling you, she didn't. I'm just saying, like, her sitting there when he's walking up, not with the gun out. I agree. When she pulled the gun, he pulled the gun, sure, run. But before that, she had not seen the Terminator at all.
But again, he pulls the gun out.
It's
and
not like
unlike
he
the other,
sat there and stared at her for 10 minutes. He sees her and then immediately pulls the gun out.
I mean, he pulls the gun out, and
No, he
unlike the other
pushes
two
to the
times he
crowd
fires
first,
it,
doesn't
he cocks it back. He puts one in the chamber. He's got to press it to where the red light comes on, and she's still just sitting there. Oh, please don't shoot me.
But it's also could be like a deer in headlights type of thing, like where she's
It's
like, oh,
it's
the
like
fears.
it's like a cat, sir. She just focused on the red light.
What's this red dot on my forehead?
It could be the fear that locked her down there, though. I don't know.
I mean, yeah,
that's a better argument right there.
Yeah,
Then
I believe
he didn't fear.
Well, no. I'm saying she
didn't
know who
It's
she
probably
was.
a good thing she didn't get up and run, because if she had tried to get up and run, he would have shot her immediately. So that
Like he did the other two women.
Pause, I guess, saved her. It allowed Kyle Reese to plump 10 slugs.
I don't know what you're doing. You're not moving.
10 slugs out of a shotgun that holds 3 rounds in the tube.
He put bullets back in it. Okay. So the Terminator locates Sarah by intercepting a call intended for her mother. She and Reese escape the motel in a pickup truck while it pursues them on a motorcycle. In the ensuing chase, Reese is badly wounded by gunfire while throwing pipe bombs at the Terminator. She knocks the Terminator off its motorcycle but loses control of the truck, which flips over. The Terminator, now bloodied and badly damaged, hijacks the tank truck and attempts to run down the Reese manages to insert.
It's like trying to do the intro right now.
Yeah.
It's funny reading what's happening, because you talk about Michael Myers. Now it's just got in my head, and so now I'm just thinking all this stuff they're doing to him, and he's still coming. But the Terminator, now bloodied and badly okay, I already read that part. Reese manages to Reese manages to insert a pipe bomb into the truck's hose tube, causing the truck to explode and reduce the Terminator to its endoskeleton. It pursues them into a Cyberdyne-owned factory where Reese activates machinery to confuse it, but eventually discovers them. Reese then lodges his final pipe bomb into its midsection to blow it apart, but at the cost of his life. Its still functional torso then pursues Sarah, but she managed to lure it into a hydraulic press that she uses to destroy it. I've seen this movie several times. Did not know that was a Cyberdyne owned factory. Never picked up on that.
No, I didn't know that either.
Well, according to what I just read, if Wikipedia is correct, and of course it is Wikipedia, so.
Which would make a lot of sense as to why Reese knew about the switches, and was it just flipping a bunch of stuff to cut the factory on?
I feel like he was just flipping a bunch of stuff, because he even says earlier in the movie he's not a tech guy. So I feel like he's just flipping a bunch of switches.
So, and obviously, I know we've kind of seen the ruthlessness of the Terminator leading up to this point. Obviously, he has very little regard for people's life. But I think the scene where she's on the phone with her mother, and then it pans into the cabin, and you just see the cabin that's destroyed, and assuming that her mother's been killed. To me, I think that really kind of drove home the fact that this guy will really stop at nothing to accomplish his mission. I think this was the point where I was really like, wow, this guy is kind of dead set and really just that ruthless.
I don't know though. You didn't get that when he went through his whole thing in the police station about how he's like, it won't stop. It just keeps, or his whole speech. I can't remember exactly how he says it, but basically he's saying that exact thing. He's like, it won't stop. It's only, its only mission is to do this. And that was pretty good. I understand what you're saying, but that speech he gives in the police station is pretty.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good, but I think this kind of drove that point home.
Yeah,
I think that this kind of was the last swing of the hammer.
I would have thought that him killing the first Sarah Connor, just coming in there and just unloading a whole bunch of lead on her, would have showed me that. Oh, okay.
So obviously this is the point where we finally get the reveal of what the actual Terminator looks like. And I mean, it looks good, but to go back to what Dakota says at the very beginning of this show, obviously the effects probably don't hold up. And I don't know if you guys agree, but I would feel like it got less scary as a Terminator than it did as
It got less scary when he moved.
yeah.
But again, the original reveal was like, oh man, okay, that was good. But then this is where technology it gets screwed with technology.
Yeah.
That's like
I mean, he's literally walking at like a snail. Because at one point they're like slowly backing up the stairs, and I'm like, turn around and run. He's literally walking at the pace of an old man.
His toes could get caught in those stairs. That's so when we go. Have we gone to the death? Have we gone to his death? Is that what we?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
It's all
so we'll talk about it anyways. Like y'all seen Deadpool, right?
Yes.
The Zamboni death scene where he's taking forever he's going to kill the guy with the Zamboni. That's why I felt at the very end, with Sarah Connor and the Terminator as she's crawling through and he's slowly. I'm like, okay, like put my stopwatch out. It felt like that took forever. But here's the one thing: the first time that he tries to get her is after the techno noir. He jumps on the car, he punches the windshield out, and he's trying to grab her. And the last thing that happens is he's reaching out, trying to grab her before he gets crushed. And I thought that's a pretty good callback right there, doing that. Now, it may be me looking into things, but I thought that was pretty cool though too.
I love how they had to throw the '80s catchphrase in there too. You're terminated, and then obviously the cuss word.
Yeah.
Yes, like she couldn't just she's sitting there fighting for her life. Like we got to throw in a catchphrase.
I mean, well, we also get at the hotel room. The women your time. What were they like? Yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, bad. Pain can be controlled. You just disconnected it. I'm like,
I shouldn't have said that. So I'm going to go rage throw pop bombs into a bag.
Yeah. I love your picture. I mean, you.
Those pipe bombs.
This dude 100% fell in love with the idea of a woman he created from a picture. Slept with her and died.
You don't live up to your Instagram posts. Sorry.
The original Tinder. Terminator.
I should have swiped right. If that's what you do. I don't even know. I know you swipe. I didn't know what direction you swipe.
No idea.
Swipe right is meaning you match. Swipe left would be...
Okay. I should have swiped left. There you go. I should have swiped negative.
But also, those pipe bombs were incredibly ineffective.
They were weak. I mean, it was like
he throws the first one, and it's like it's a I'm like, oh, okay.
Let me throw a Roman candle at you.
That was, and this is, I guess I just thought about this, but in that tunnel, all of a sudden you have a lack of incoming traffic. The whole scene when they first enter into it, and they're like bobbing and weaving through incoming and oncoming traffic and everything, and then they start throwing bombs, and all of a sudden there's nobody.
Hey, $6.4 million budget.
So okay, so he puts the pipe bomb in the tanker, and he hides in the trash dumpster. And then, by the way, that 18-wheeler is about as slow as the Terminator is running to catch her, but she just runs by the side of the building. That tanker truck should have blown up everybody around there. And she just was like, ah. I was like, oh, okay. No, that's kind of womp womp. I mean, that's if you're going to have the big budget, after paying Arnie's salary, let's blow some stuff up now. I mean, like Bad Boys at the very end, when they blow everything up, that's where most of their budget went to. If you're going to have an explosion, buddy, let's blow some stuff up.
Yeah. Let's go all out.
Exactly.
Well, months later, Sarah, visibly pregnant with John, travels through Mexico recording audio tapes to pass on to him. At a gas station, a boy takes a Polaroid photograph of her, the exact one that John will one day give to Reese, and she buys it. The gas station owner comments that a storm is coming, and she replies that she is aware, alluding to humanity's impending conflict against Skynet before driving away towards it. So here's my thing. Here's my Back to the Future time travel brain comes in. If she doesn't buy that photograph,
Yeah.
Does
No,
that mean
no, the
Well,
photograph would have
does she
happened.
know about it?
The photograph already happened, so the photograph was going to happen regardless, because that's
The
what happens.
photograph happened, yes, but
but if she
would
doesn't
it?
buy it,
If
she
she
doesn't
doesn't
have it to
buy
give
it,
it to give it to John, who
who
can't
gives
give
it
it to
to
Reese. Then
Reese?
Reese can't.
No, because then like the kid would have thrown it in the air, and the wind would have caught it like Forrest Gump's feather, and it would have gone into their Jeep, and she would have got it. So you can't mess with fate. Yeah, it's gone. She's gonna get the picture somehow.
Okay, that's what it is. Isn't there something though that like
The old man brings
they
it
said
back.
something?
The old man says, "Oh, the little boy got his beat by his father, so here you go. You get the picture anyways." That was kind of an Irish Mexican accent right there, by the way.
Wasn't there something earlier in the movie that said something about timelines or something? Like, oh, there's a chance that you could be the father or the mother of it or something.
He does say something. Crap, what does he say? He does say something about timelines at some point in this movie, but I can't remember what it was he said.
Yeah, it's like you had a chance of it happening, or I don't remember.
I mean, I just like I said. I mean, time travel movies. There's no way to accurately nail them down because you're gonna have these questions regardless. So that's why
Let me tell you, the only time travel movie that I think that did it well, and it wasn't even a movie; it was based on a book. Was Prisoner of Azkaban and Harry Potter.
that was a movie, but yes, go on.
Well, no, it was based on a book though.
No, I agree. I could say that. Yeah, they did a good job with that.
That was the one movie where I think they did it. They did it well, and it kind of worked. It worked.
Yeah. But that's why I've always said time travel movies. You have to have a great script, great story that keeps you engaged, because otherwise you can get bogged down in the stupid, or just get bored, kind of like I did in Endgame. As much as I like the ending of Endgame, the actual like movie part to it is kind of boring to me.
Of the time heist. Again, if you're gonna base your whole movie on time travel and have it as a major part of your movie, that's again like we talked about. I think that's where you find the holes. Where if you are just using it to push the plot and it's only a part of it, I think that's why it works in Terminator, because again, they're just using it as a plot device, not as the plot.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, writer, I don't even know if I used plot device right or not, but screw it. So I sound good. That's all that matters.
Supporting plot. Subplot.
Sure.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the movie. A very short movie, only an hour, 47 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
That was partly why I chose it, because of the other movies I had were 3 hours long, and I'm really glad I didn't go with that now, because I ended up waiting till today to watch it. So watching a 3-hour movie before doing this was not.
Oh man, the day that we have to do a 3-hour movie,
it's coming. One of us is going to.
It's eventually going to happen.
I'm pretty sure me and Ernie have been very close several times already. So
we're going to do Ben-Hur one time or something like that, where we have to watch like a 90-hour movie. No,
what now?
90 hours. That's like sarcasm and
okay.
Exaggeration.
Ernie's gonna break out his like double VHS Titanic or something.
Oh, actually, I have double I had the double of Pearl Harbor and Saving Private Ryan.
Was Saving Private Ryan double VHS? I didn't realize.
Yeah, Saving Private Ryan's a long movie.
Yeah, it is.
That was one of the movies I almost chose for this instead of I went with Terminator. It was on my short list. Saving Private Ryan was
long song.
Saving Private Ryan is a 2-hour and 50-minute movie.
Yeah,
had it and Heat were on my short list.
Boy, those are 2 long movies there.
So, all right. So I guess we will jump into the rankings, and unless one of y'all want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first since just because who knows, it doesn't matter anymore. So we're just gonna paper, rock, and scissors. That's what we should do, is have a randomizer, and then just all of a sudden, okay, you go first. Anyways, sorry, that's why I don't need a 3-hour movie, because my ADD kicks in, even though I don't know if I have ADD or not. But anyways,
playing with me.
Back to
I'm trying to do rock paper
but
scissors.
you're doing it off screen. Nobody can see it.
It's right here. You can't see it?
Right there. No, it's right here. It is off screen.
This is what you look like. That does not look good, anyways. So luckily, this is not going on YouTube just yet. So
fine, Ernie.
For the audio podcast, we're talking about what we can see on our FaceTime.
Caleb was going rock the whole entire time, by the way.
It never fails. It never fails.
So,
Have you never seen that episode of that '70s show where Fez and Hod are playing? He's like, "Rock always wins," and then he's like, "Scissors always win." All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
that's okay. Let's see. So, okay, Terminator. It was,
You had to remind yourself what movie we were doing.
Yeah, I did. Well, again, ADD kicks in. I mean, sometimes I get AD. Okay, yeah, y'all didn't get that joke. There we go. Y'all got the joke.
That was a bad joke.
Oh, it was great. It just took y'all a while to figure it out. But anyways, this is what it is. A couple of my things I have to go in with this movie is I don't need to compare it to T2, and I'm not going to do the same mistake that I've done with other movies. Is what the movie's legacy is and what I think it should be. I did enjoy it. The first time I watched this, I almost fell asleep at the first part of it. To be honest, I was bored until we got to probably techno noir. So I got a little bit more buy into that. I liked Arnold. Arnold was Arnold. Linda Hamilton was okay. I didn't like Michael Biehn as much as I thought I was going. So much as I remember, and that's another thing is this is kind of like Star Wars for me too, where I remember liking those movies a lot more. Now I like Terminator a lot more than I like Star Wars. I'll say that, but I don't think it was as good in my mind as what it was. Don't know how this is the only movie that we've seen so far that has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't understand that, but I did like the movie. I did like Schwarzenegger. I did like the storyline. I like how Cameron sold out to the doom and sold out to the lack of hope, and had a heroine and a hero that were close to every man, every woman. Wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger, because you knew there's no way these two should defeat the Terminator. There's no way. And so, having Linda Hamilton or Sarah Connor come out at the end victorious was big. So for me, I'm going to go 8.5.
Man, Dakota.
You go.
No, I'm asking you to go.
Fine, if we're being that polite.
I'm about to say you've never been that polite.
All right. I know I argue a bunch of points in this movie and a bunch of things that I like were dumb, but I mean a lot of the things that I argued about can be right off as well, it's a movie. And when you look at it through that lens, as I try to with a lot of the things that we watch, I enjoyed this movie. I really was kind of on edge the entire movie about, was she gonna die, or which, I guess in hindsight, 40 years after all the movies have been released, like obviously she's in the later films, like she has to survive. But like I was on my seat the entire time. Like, was she going to survive? Was Reese going to survive? Were they going to kill the Terminator? Like, how were they going to get out of this situation? And I really did was sitting there and really enjoying the film the entire time. I'll probably end up going back and watching this movie again at some point. When I wanted just a good action film to go watch, or a good sci-fi film to go watch, and like I said, I think I enjoyed Hamilton's role in this. Well, I think her and Reese both played their roles well. Even Schwarzenegger in the few lines that he had, it's kind of fun to go back and watch some of his early movies and just to be able to see that. So I think I'm going to give this movie an 8.
So as a young Caleb Suggs growing up, I was obviously very into 80s action movies. Watched them a lot with my dad. Like this movie when I was younger. I think a lot of people, myself included, when I was younger, tend to think that T2 is far superior. But every time as I've gotten older and as I go back and watching this, I love this movie more and more every time I watch it. Especially I think now, understanding what my parents were trying to explain to me when I was younger about just the fear that people had and how much it scared people. I think is something big that now clicks as I've gotten older. And you mentioned, Ernie, the doom and just the overall atmosphere that James Cameron presents, and we didn't even talk about the end of the movie as she's driving off. It's not a very happy ending where it's like, hey, they killed the Terminator, they're safe now, they can live happily ever after. I mean, even though they killed the Terminator, the dystopian future that Reese told her about is still coming. So I mean, it's very ending to a movie that again just leads to that fear of the unknown. And like Linda Hamilton, she's not the Linda Hamilton in T2, which is obviously an iconic character that everybody loves, but it's still a great performance, and you get to see her kind of the beginnings of that character towards the end. You get a very young Schwarzenegger who does a great job, and then Michael Biehn. I know you said, Ernie, that you didn't like him as much in this, but I mean, this, Tombstone, and Aliens, I love him in all three of those movies. And like I said, as I've gotten older, I love this movie more and more, probably more so than I did even when I was younger, and I liked it when I was younger. And 100% on Rotten Tomatoes might be a little high, but I still think it ranks highly to me, so I'm going to give it a 9.5. So a 9.5, an 8.5, and an 8 averages out to an 8.6 repeating. Ernie, where does that put us on our rank?
That ties it with A Few Good Men and Goodfellas. So that puts it at tied for 8th, tied for 9th. I'm not sure how that works, but I'll figure that out later.
Tied for first, tied for second, third, fourth, fifth, tied for fifth.
However you want to word that. I mean,
I think.
Goodness.
Well,
we'll figure that off air.
It's tied for. It'd still be tied for 8.
Let me pull this. Yeah. So let's see.
It'd still be tied for 8 because there's still 7 movies ahead of it.
Yeah.
And it's still tied for the 8th place in the film.
It's tied for the 8th place. Yes, that is correct. All right, so 8.6 repeating, and if you would like to see our full list, you can go to our website, podpage.com/classicblockbusters. That is podpage.com/classicblockbusters. You can find us on Facebook, although now that I'm saying that, I just realized I never posted our last week's episode on Facebook.
That's hating right there. You just didn't oh man.
No, it's complete. My wife says that I am developing early onset dementia. Apparently I forget everything these days. So
there's an app on your phone called Reminders.
Yeah, well, maybe. How about y'all remind me? We have a group chat. Y'all remind me. Y'all can be my reminder.
But I don't even really get on Facebook that much.
What's that got to do with anything?
So I don't. If you don't post it, I don't see it. I'm not seeing it regardless.
Anyways, so you can go on Facebook, and I will definitely remember to post this week's episode, and maybe I'll go back and post last week's episode too, just for Ernie. If you would like to, obviously you can listen to us on whatever you're listening to us. If it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or now you listen to us on YouTube. We thank everybody that's been listening to us. And Dakota, tell us what we will be listening to next week, or watching next week.
So, like I was telling y'all before I started, I completely forgot that next week was my pick. I honestly thought that it was Ferg's pick, and so I didn't really sit down and think about it. And so I'm stalling a bit because I have 3 movies here. Let me tell you. Let me do this.
Paper, rock, and scissors, but not the way Caleb plays.
I don't. What? This is paper. First of all, I never did this hand motion that you said.
Yeah, that motion that you're doing right there.
That we can't see. That all we see is I did this. That's all we see.
I never did this. I did this.
Anyways, go ahead.
Did my fist on my open palm like you play rock paper scissors. That's how people play. Or fine, you just whatever. I don't know why you're saying.
There it is.
Can't see
Disgusted. God, it took us this long. It took us an hour and 18 minutes to get there.
On my screen, my hands are perfectly visible. I don't.
Thou doth protesteth too much.
Oh Lord.
I need new podcast mates. All right.
What would you do without us?
Exactly.
So
Have we stalled enough yet? Have you picked a movie yet?
We tried to help you out, Dakota.
You know what? Just for that, I'm not doing your favorite movie ever. I'm completely changing it, and we're going to do a comedy this year.
Ooh.
A comedy that I just happened to find googling this called Lost in America from 1985.
Holy cow! I've never heard of that.
No clue. Starring Albert Brooks and Julie Haggerty, and Sylvia Farrell. No clue. It was a comedy and it was obscure. So,
wow. Well,
yeah,
Albert Brooks. No clue. Okay, wow. 95 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it has a really high rating.
Lost in America. Now I got to see if I can watch it somewhere.
I have no idea.
I'll tell you this. You know you picked something because Caleb hadn't said a word yet.
At all.
He said, because what you did, for those of y'all that don't know, he just pulled a Lucy and Charlie Brown right here. He put the football out there. He teed it up for Caleb. Caleb is about to kick it, and he just pulled it out from under him. Yep. Caleb is mentally, he's going womp, 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 womp. He is beat bad right now because of what was said beforehand. We won't. I'll let Caleb do that. But yeah, what Caleb thought he was going to get and what he got, polar opposites.
All for your comment. All because of your comment.
All I'm saying is, after The Princess Bride, Jumanji, and Moonstruck, this movie better be good, or you're banned for a week.
Hey, I have no idea. I've been banned for 3 weeks already. I miss podcasts like it's candy. What are you talking about?
No, I meant like you're banned from picking a movie. We're skipping your next pick.
You get a pick. You could pick that movie. You could pick that movie next week.
Lost in America.
I have no idea what it is. I have no clue.
Good reason to pick a movie.
Yeah, it is. I've never seen it.
Reason.
It is not a terrible reason. I'm here to watch new movies and new content.
Yeah, I know there are tons,
which is 95% of the repertoire in America
that you have never seen. Why are you picking a movie that?
But you know what this is? This is the first movie that none of us have seen.
Yeah.
So this is something new.
We have no preconceived notions about this movie at all.
No, Caleb's got a notion already.
If Ernie Ferguson has not seen this movie, that worries me a lot.
It has a high Rotten Tomatoes score.
Okay, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, so does Princess Bride. That's not saying much for you.
Moonstruck had a 80 or 92, I think.
And it was a perfectly fine movie.
It was 89. 4 Weddings and a Funeral had 92. Get it right. Don't besmirch my movies.
4 Weddings and a Funeral was great. I loved that movie.
Because I pick good movies.
Oh, by the way, since you made me watch that British movie on Tubi, which, by the way, it was a great movie. It was
a good movie.
On my Roku, For Me, some other British movie popped up, and the poster for it is very I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
What's the movie?
Frank and or I don't know, something like that.
I don't think I've heard of that.
It's like it has a very risky risque poster, let's just say, because my wife the other day was like, "What is that?" Because it was on our Roku For You, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. So thank you for that, Ernie Ferguson. Because I had to look up the movie. I'm like, why is this showing on my For You? And then I looked it up, and it was a British film, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's because I watched
Speaking of which, what do y'all watch most of these movies on? I guess it's whatever they're streaming on.
I literally watched this on YouTube. Somebody had it for free, so I watched the whole. I mean, it was.
I known that.
So I just watched it, and I was like, "Hey, this is not even it's not an edited version. It's like the whole entire thing." So that's where I watched it
on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I rented it. Yeah, I rented it.
Yeah, if you did a free trial to MGM Plus.
Yeah.
So I did the free trial, and then I went into the Amazon channels right after I did the free trial, and I canceled the free trial, but it's still good for the whole week. And so I watched.
You might need it for Lost in America.
Yeah, you will.
Did you even check? Like, can you watch this movie anywhere?
You can watch it on Amazon Prime, Fandango at Home, and Apple TV. Yeah. Sorry.
Man. Golly, you're screwing me now. I don't care if you screwed Caleb.
Look, I try to pick things out that you can watch for free. It's one of the reasons I didn't pick that. What movie was that? That was a bad movie, Sylvester Stallone movie or whatever it was.
Stop or my mom will shoot.
Yeah, that's the whole reason I didn't pick that one was because I couldn't rent it. I couldn't find it anywhere. But
all right, well, you heard it here first. Lost in America is next week.
It's supposed to be a comedy, so
Ernie and Dakota will be doing that show by themselves.
Hey, no, buddy, you gotta edit. You gotta host, and you gotta edit.
You know that seems to me that wills me some power. Maybe I need like a presidential veto.
Veto it.
Well, I'm about to say it takes 2/3 of a vote to override a veto, and that's 2 against you. That's 2/3.
There we go.
All right.
Boom. History teacher. Knowledge.
Okay. So, Lost in America is next week. 8.6 repeating was our score today. That ties it for 8th on our list. Anything to add, guys?
Other than Nino Brown and Blade could have taken out the Terminator in the first scene, but that's just, that's because Nino's a bad man.
Blade is a bad man.
Exactly. We're talking about the same person. Thank you. I appreciate it. You finally acknowledged that.
I hate both of you so much.
That's the time to say it. We'll see you at the movies next week.